Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today we're talking about episode 5 through 8 of Shine On Bakumatsu Bad Boys, the anime that is interesting, something a little different than we've done, interesting art style. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about those episodes, but next week is when we pick a brand new anime. So we have a ton of anime that are here on our list that are either chosen by me or Matt or some of you from the community. I think we have them all here. There's a lot of them that have been there for a while, some new ones. This one was fairly new when we picked it out, so it is very random. So they're all random, don't know what's coming out, and then we rank them on our board here, and we have a lot of S's, a lot of A's, and we're filling out the middle, it seems like, with
the middle is getting filled out.
And the middle will continue to be filled out as well for this one, most likely. I don't know, we'll see. But hello everybody watching in the live chat. Hello everybody here popping up on YouTube or on Twitch. Again, if you're watching on Twitch, I only stream on YouTube now. This is the only thing that's on my Twitch, but I don't go on these anime journeys alone. I am joined by my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing really good. I was just telling you, I went bowling yesterday. I went on a little date. I went bowling yesterday, and my legs are, oh my God, I forgot, like, there's muscles in your body that if you don't use them and then you start using them again, they're just going to be like, hey, stop that.
They go away. Yeah,
they go away. But man, I'm ready to talk about anime this week. I'm interested to see how you feel about this show as it's continued to move forward with these 4 episodes, because I mean, we it's just such a bag of things, and I don't know if it's a me thing at this point, and I just wanna get to the bottom of this and know if this is a me thing or if we just have, you know, an anime on our hands that's just kind of like not giving. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Sure, the beauty of the show is that we don't talk about the anime before. I mean, sometimes people post in the Discord about their thoughts on the anime and stuff, but me and Matt come in, we don't want to spoil it, and we want to give our honest reactions as we take in the content on our own. And we come here and then this thing isn't good, this thing's great, whatever. So
I noticed this, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and sometimes we've each done that. We're like, oh, I didn't notice that, like I didn't look that up or whatever. But starting off broadly, I guess, talking about episode 5 through 8, as we already saw 1 through 4 last week, and we're going to get into each episode for sure. But I definitely got to say I like these 4 episodes more than the last 4. But like you're saying, it's just not a whole lot going on. And I did feel that hindrance that you were talking about last week, where it's just like, I don't know if I just want to look at this. I don't want to really look at this. This kind of is like, but then I started thinking about it in a different way. As an anime, it's not hidden. As an anime, it just ain't hidden. The anime sort of things. When I started to think about, like, okay, they brought in the history stuff. They brought in like the long form, like we were talking about last week, how the fights aren't the anime fights that we're used to. They are just a place to get to the next thing. And I was like, how is that? Where in media have we seen that, and how is this connected to anything else? And I haven't seen any like real samurai movies, but I have seen like some westerns, and sometimes they say westerns and samurai, like old western with guns and the shootout and stuff. Like a lot of the times they say those are closely connected in media, as far as how they're portrayed. So I started to think of this one more of like a western, where it's like it's a lot of well, not in this anime, but like in westerns, I guess there's like a lot of brooding, there's some story, there's a lot of like anticipation, and then once the payoff happens, it's this big thing, and then it just kind of happens, and then that's it. And that's kind of how I started thinking about it. Like as an anime, it's not hitting, but then also I haven't seen any like samurai stuff, but when I think of samurai, I think of larger than the story that they're telling, because samurai is a country, and samurai is the story of moving parts and of moving factions, if
yes,
you
and
quote
that's
unquote.
what I was saying, that like last week with the whole concept of the time period that it's set in, where you have this huge like divide of culture and religion and ideology, this ideological difference that begins to split the country in half. And it's just like, I feel like it's a very intriguing setting where you can pull off a lot of high stakes storytelling, a lot of that type of storytelling, you know, Fall of the Samurai esque. But like it also it feels like it wants to have its cake and eat it too type deal when it's trying to connect things so close with like actual historical events, because in these 4 episodes we'll see certain things like the Ikidaya incident be adapted into this anime, which is an actual historic thing that happened
I didn't know that.
when the country was going through this, where there was an actual the Ishi attempted to burn down the part of an entire city because and the Shinsengumi, the actual historical Shinsengumi, stopped them from doing that. So it's just I feel like it has all of this set up to be something really cool as an anime. And like you were saying, the concept of like the samurai and the cowboys, the western-esque nature, like the storytelling is not for me what the show is really lacking. It's just the anime part of this anime. The animation part of this is, I feel like, what's really holding it back. It just
Mhm.
feels flat, lifeless. There are actual like in frame like one frame character facing this way, the next frame their neck is just like snapped, turned around looking the other way. It's like, where's the animation of that character turning their head? Make it like, or like, where's the you know the funness of anime where you get to kind of like over exaggerate those types of things? It doesn't feel like it's lending itself to the medium that it is, even though it's
Sure.
taking this really cool concept and and not thematic, but this narrative that could be really interesting otherwise.
Like I would even I see what you're saying. And hello everybody.
Could be elevated by its animation, but in fact it's the opposite, where it's being held back by its animation.
Yes, and hello everybody coming in, Claire, Cosmo. Oh, I can't click the what's happening? I can't click it. Anyways, hello Cosmo. What are we learning today? We're learning about an anime. Shine on, Bakumatsu Bad Boys. Um, it, like even though it's like super tropey and all that stuff, that's what makes anime silly. When I'm talking about it is like Ichiban Boshi could totally be the shonen guy that we always, either
Yeah.
love or hates or whatever. He could definitely be, if someone hits him over the head, he has that big old ball, or like if he gets hit in the head, his nose bleeds and all that stuff. But it does like try and keep it so that it somewhat makes sense in human and not anime. And I know some of those tropes and stuff are overused, but like I want something to
Mhm.
keep the attention, and they're trying definitely with the dialogue and like some of the funny jokes. Some of the interactions are pretty funny too, but like
But I feel like there's
overall,
also this like there's this tonal like dissonance where is did oh no.
can you see me? I can't hear you, Matt. Chat? Can y'all hear me?
Can you hear me?
Hey, there you are.
Hello, hello.
I have no clue how my internet. I've been devoured. Blame Spectrum. True. Okay. Hello, everybody. That didn't happen.
Hello?
Anyway,
Am I here?
hello, Dan. Yeah, you're here.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay. I held the thought. It's the tonal dissonance, the tonal
We'll
difference,
edit it in post. We'll edit.
the tonal difference of like those types of jokes and the type of again, this type of story it wants to tell, where you have literal characters like doing bodily harm interrogation on their captives in order to acquire like information. I don't know, it's just like it's just this bag of a lot of things where I feel like the show can't decide what direction it truly wants to lean into. And so it ends up feeling just like over bloated, and it doesn't feel like it has a true sense of direction. And it just, again, it feels like everything is just kind of like, all right, well, we got to get on to the next thing. Right. So like, let's just keep going.
Because yeah, like in these 4 episodes, I feel like they were trying to set up like a mystery a little bit. So it was even that part where it's like, oh, it's a mystery, but it was so light that it wasn't too it was so light that it wasn't even like a true like mystery-esque sort of thing. Like it didn't give me enough for it to be like a full like, oh, where's he at? Where are they at? What's going on? It was just kind of super light. And then it was just, okay, here they are. Here's the main thing. And there we
Yes.
are. Let's get into the episodes because
We got to get into it.
it's time. Episode 5, Show Them, the Pride of a Monk and a Doctor. What happens in episode 5?
So Rashimaru taunts Ichiban Boshi and Sakuya before taking off. Sogen discusses with Suzuran the fact that the swords and bodies of the rogue Ronin seem to have no discernible features. Later arriving at the house of Mokichi, someone they had helped previously, he's left dumbfounded as he passes away without any distinct or apparent cause of death. We learn Sogen and Suzuran what they did to become criminals before Suzuran's weapon points him towards the Shirakawaya, a large store in the region. Without proof of wrongdoing, Todo prompts the Shinsengumi to gather information while forbidding Ichiban Boshi to leave HQ due to his hot-headed nature with his brother. Akira meets with Katsuda to learn that the Shirakawaya has been gouging the price of kerosene in order to make their profits. Sakuya demands that Ichiban Boshi kill Tsukito or he will do it himself. While looking for information, Sogen and Suzuran are attacked by the demon cult, giving them the proof to move in on the Shirakawaya. Todo disarms Ichiban Boshi in time for their next mission to start.
I like the monk and the doctor together.
Yes.
Those two, I love because I didn't even think about it. And I think they get into it this episode. Yes. I'm reading my notes here. Yes, they get into it here. The questions about after death, about the soul. And I want to get into that whole conversation sort of because it leads into other things that happen later on. But like, I didn't even think about them like that. I thought they were just a cool duo, doctor and a monk. It's kind of funny that the doctor kind of does some stuff and heals people too, but then monk heals people in a different kind of way or
Exactly.
is seen in that way.
They're like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about it until they started hanging out together again in this episode. And what I really like about the show is when they take that little reprieve and them two are just talking. They are the most interesting ones. Whenever the orange one and the yellow one, whenever they hang out, I'm like,
Totoro
okay.
and Bo.
I'm like, okay, it's fine, whatever, that's cool. But I love whenever the doctor and the monk are vibing and they're
They
just
actually,
talking.
yeah, they have very interesting dialogue for sure. That
And
has that, like, again, that it's like stuff like that. I feel like is just carrying the show and is adding to the, like, this is the type of stuff that I want to see out of this like time period. This guy that has a very solid grounding and firm belief, or not firm belief, but like he's very much like, if I can't see it, if I can't touch it, it doesn't exist. If I can't research it. But then you have somebody that's on the complete opposite end and is just like, what does like the concept of death even mean? Like it kind of equals all of us. It's this whole thing. And then going off and playing forward into the fact that like he's somebody that wants all people to be able to be equal in death by like
having a soul,
but also the whole concept that he was doing like the Christian ceremonies, even though that's something that deemed him as like a criminal.
and that's such a cool part of it. And I'm like, I love that little section, the monk stuff. Monk is my favorite character, and he's just like, yeah. And they don't do a whole lot of telling. We see him like how I thought, you're supposed to be doing it like this when you pray.
Yeah,
this was a Christian thing.
Yeah,
let me still help you out and give you my best tidings. I'm like, that's beautiful in this whole just ugliness. And I'm like, what is all that?
It's something that's like completely characterizes the character in so many ways without having to be heavy-handed, and him just say, I'm a good person, I like to help people, like that's why I don't deserve to be a criminal. It's like, no, the show wants you to believe, like, come to your own conclusions on whether or not, the concept of all of these guys that are criminals, what were they even in the wrong in the first place? Because even with Sogen's whole thing, it's like, I understand the taboo of what I'm about to say, but like, he was dissecting unattended bodies. Like, nobody wanted them. Nobody was doing anything with them. I'm just
Y'all want
saying.
these bodies over here? Y'all need these, or
He wasn't. It
are these
didn't
free?
say he was grave digging. If he was grave digging, that'd be something completely different. But the
And
way I
he
see it,
was,
like, he was like, if in this time period, a lot of the time they would just leave dead bodies lying on this. They showed it earlier. They
they did
left
it
dead
in
bodies lying on the
previous
side of the road
episode.
and said, we killed these guys because of this, and they weren't going to bury them. So like, it's just,
And
I don't know.
they did make a point of him also saying like he was doing some remedy. He like made some remedies or something out of like the research that he found.
Mhm.
So he was doing good while the act was bad.
So it starts to paint these characters with the morality of like grays rather than it being black and white. And that's what I do start to enjoy out of these 4 episodes. That's compelling storytelling where you're allowing the audience to kind of ponder, wonder, decide, and come to their own conclusions on how they feel about characters rather than the show directly telling us how we should feel about them.
Yes, we get the whole story about Mokichi, who was afflicted by something that there's a wound internally, possibly something he dies. And we get some Suzerain backstory. Then the questions about after death. The monk believes in souls, basically, and the doctor was saying there is something there because you're lighter after you die. That could be the weight of the soul, whatever. And then something happens where I'm like, wait a second, what? The monk is shown, I guess, talking to Mokichi, or was that him? But he's sort of talking to like a soul, some guy in blue that's like a ghosty kind of thing. And I was like, can
That
the
was like,
monk see the
and
souls?
then the soul pointed, right?
Yeah.
I think that was supposed to be representing Saito Hajime, which is the
Oh, okay.
soul that is inhabiting the old guy that
Oh,
used to inhabit the sword.
okay. I thought it was the guy that just died.
Unless it's the guy that just died, but I thought that's what he said. Are you trying to talk to me, Saito? Maybe I was read that
Maybe.
wrong. Maybe it was actually
Either
either way.
way,
Yeah.
somebody he be seeing souls.
And he saw it, whereas
The doctor
Sogen did
didn't.
not. And that's why I think that's why I thought it was Saito, because only Suzerain can see it and Sogen could not. It's like that connection between their blade and the old
That could be it.
Shinsengumi that they were replacing. But
I took
I
it as him just being like, I can see the souls, brother,
I
but
see this
you
shit.
can't.
This shit's real.
This is real.
Bro, take that.
We find out the Shirakawa it may be the headquarters of all the things because of the raising prices of kerosene and all that stuff. Tensions are high within the group. We've seen a
Yeah.
lot of like back and forth. There's
And that's,
turmoil.
again, this part, the whole that Shiraka Waya price gouging and stuff. And like I was just looking up more stuff, and like that's also just like more stuff that's grounded in
Mhm.
actual things that were happening at this time period, where certain people that had like monopolies on certain products were like gouging their exports to other parts of Japan in order to try to get an edge financially on other clans, or
Hell yeah,
limit
brother.
their access to certain things by just raising it so high that they couldn't buy it. So it's just like, again, it's just all of these very interesting concepts that are being pulled from actual historical
Fact.
nonfiction. Yeah,
Yeah.
fact. And I just wish the show, I don't know, I guess I just wish the show had more of an animated backbone. Like, it's just like, it's not being delivered to me in a way that's like wholly satisfying.
Because it's like it's kind of fun, but not really. It's kind of historic where they want to give you information about stuff that happens, but it's not really because I wouldn't know. I didn't know unless you looked it up. I would just be like, okay, this is happening, and it's I don't
Yeah,
know.
very, very, very back and forth, very conflicted because, again, yeah, storytelling wise, and as the characters become characters, do, I've been enjoying the show more and more and more. But the more have to like look at it, the more it becomes like, the more I visually just see cracks and cuts and, yeah, corners cut and stuff like that, where I'm just like, man, I just wish this was being delivered to me with, even something that could be on the level of a, I don't even know if I'd say like, just 3D animate the fight scenes, if it means that they're going to be like dynamic and interesting, because it's just they're like, all again, yeah, all the action just feels like the thing that's taking us to the next story beat.
And I think the pacing is pretty fast. When I think it probably could have told the story better over more episodes, because I know they got to get to the thing, whatever that's going to
I feel
be.
like it was paced really quick, and then it slowed down with these 4 episodes. It
Yeah.
made these 4 episodes better, whereas the first 4, it was just kind of like throwing us en media res into this situation, and it's just like you're just meeting all these characters. They don't have time to get to actually be characters, so they're just kind of like stand-ins until we finally get to episode 5 with seeing other characters' backstories and stuff.
What I would have liked, I think, is if there was more episodes and they actually, because like the history stuff and all this things that happened, like literally happened in real life, that all can be so interesting if you have the time for it. But right now, like the way we just go through to the Shirakawa and then the whole and all that stuff, like that could have been slowed down and been way more impactful, because by the end of episode 8, there's only like one part that I'll tell you when we get to it that was super impactful for me. And then the rest of all the other stuff, I'm just like, okay, that was fine. That was big. That was a big moment, but it could have been so much bigger because of how much weight there could have been on it, but there just wasn't. We got to keep going.
Yep.
Another cool thing, souls possibly could be a power source or something. I don't know. Let's explore that later. Um, Ichiban Boshi is not allowed to join the job for the Shirakawa. And then we get into episode 6, Raid the Crooked Shirakawa. What happens in episode 6?
Toto is met with no protest as he seats Ichiban Boshi for the time being. Ichiban Boshi meets Hikojiro, a councilman that he bonds over with drinks. Later, we later see Hikojiro interact with the demon cult and his sister. Toto readies the Shinsengumi to raid the Shirakawa, where they find a cellar leading to a door leading to a deep cellar. Confronted and trapped by Tsukito, Ichiban Boshi arrives to have Tsukito put Hikojiro against him. The Shinsengumi escape the trap, and Ichiban Boshi delivers a killing blow to Hikojiro, who the Shinsengumi were after to capture.
This episode was wild. They start off by giving us a whole nother character, a whole nother reason to care about this character because of him, Hikojiro, and his sister, who is he's with the masked demons, or at least working with them, or on his
Sound like
last
a broken
run.
record right now. I'm gonna sound like a broken record right now.
What?
Hikojiro is an actual historic figure.
Oh, dang.
That wasn't like they just keep pulling little like lots out of a
Now,
bag or something. I don't know,
now, are
man.
they trying to say that the masked demons were real?
That's
You got
that's
any
where
record?
that is where I say the tonal disconnect happens for me, where you have demon cult harvesting souls right next to actual police force that historically tried to stop atrocities from happening.
Hi, I'm Abraham Lincoln. Join my demon cult. What?
That's imagine 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 a Disney movie. Imagine a Disney animated,
Albert Einstein.
a more Western styled Disney movie type deal animated, where it's based after the Civil War, but
Uh,
there was actually a a cult of mages that were
hell
conducting
yeah.
the whole thing. They're actually the ones that wanted to keep the slaves on plantations or something.
I mean,
I'm just saying that's
yeah.
what this show's doing. Basically, it's like I'm
Okay.
just trying to draw
Yeah.
a parallel,
Okay.
and that's what for me, where when I think about it, that's where just that again the tonal disconnect happens, where these are actual historic figures and events that happened IRL, and we're animating it, which is like not just saying animating it is inherently bad, but when I don't feel like it's like just being handled with any weight or gravity or sincerity, it just like I just want the show to lean completely the other one way or the other, like make it completely fictitious or make it grounded and realistic, but handle it with gravity. That's
Speaking
where
of gravity,
I'm like, I feel like my head's spinning with this show. And that's just in the storytelling department. Again, the only thing that the show's really kind of given me, and I still have complaints about it, where that every single moment I'm watching the show, I'm just like, I just think of 10 different ways that it could be presented to me more visually appealing.
sure. I was going to say, speaking of gravity, Doctor Who, the Doctor, not too long ago met up with Isaac Newton, and he canonically changed gravity to mavity by accident, and then now the entire universe says mavity, and it's actually a really funny running joke that happened this past season. We meet Hikojiro, Ichiban Boshi's drinking buddy, sort of. They find the hidden basement, like you were saying, the writing on the wall. Literally, they walk into a trap. Pretty much, they find this device that we still don't really know what it is or what it does, but we kind of can put the souls in the container. You know what I mean? But the the crazy thing to come out of this, and what I really liked out of all these 4 episodes, and I'm gonna call him Rashimaru because he don't deserve his real name. Rashimaru, Ichiban Boshi's brother. Um, Ichiban Boshi's just like
They're just
trying to get him
standing
away.
around.
They're just, I mean, they literally are just standing around, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on? What are y'all doing? You just standing?" He's literally standing on the door that his
Like
friends
they are not even at like combat ready with each
No,
other. They're just like, yeah, bro.
oh, bro. Yeah, pretty much. That part, not a very fan, not a big fan of. But the way that it was presented for Rashimaru to bring out Hikajiro and say, like, this whole confrontation was kind of crazy. Hikajiro, hey, this is your last one, right? We won't kill your sister. Hikajiro is driven by him wanting to protect his sister. And we get sort of like a flashback of the masked demon swordsman from Rashimaru's past and Ichiban Boshi's past, where he's like, if you kill your mom, I will spare you. That has a lot of emotional weight there. And
That
then
does for sure.
going into the whole, I'm gonna have to fight you, Hikajiro, Ichiban Boshi. It's either me or you. One of us is gonna die, and I don't even know. They made it seem like Ichiban Boshi hasn't killed anybody before, and I think I would like it better if he hasn't killed anybody,
Sure.
because when they came back
He
and
introduced himself as like the samurai killer.
oh, that's true.
So I don't know if that's just what he's trying to
Dang
say his
it.
title is.
Yeah. If this
So
was his
like
first kill, it
again,
would
that's
have been
where
like,
that's what that
yo,
would have been. Yeah, exactly. That would have been a very a
you're
characterizing
right.
moment.
Dang it.
It's like just having that character that shonen character, the Asta, the why am I forgetting every other
Oh,
shonen
no,
character
no,
ever?
bam, bam.
Um Denji or Tanjiro, you take any of them and you put their true ideal at the front and put them in a situation where that ideal like has to just, be broken
For this one point.
against their nature for, that development of things are getting serious. You can't always have it your way. Saint BK. Sorry. Anyways,
But okay, yeah, he did introduce himself at the very beginning as the samurai killer. So that kind of sucks. But Dan says, I mean, it could be that he gave himself that title but hasn't actually killed anyone till now. Then he's just a bad
or just
criminal.
speculate.
I like it better. Yes, I mean, that could be true. I like it better if this was his first time killing anybody
Yeah,
and he absolutely had to do it. And
exactly.
he just
And
when
that's the
he
reason why he doesn't want to kill his brother and never and always held out on it. And
yes,
if we had seen him in other situations, that's the reason that he didn't want to use the sword. He wanted to, do kicks because he just wants to knock people out and get scrappy. But the fact is, they told him, you're when you are there standing face to face with the enemy, do you really think that your kicks are gonna be substantial? It's like,
and
no.
Sakuya knows. Was it this episode where he gets no, it's in the coming episodes where Sakuya helps him out, sort of, kind of, whatever.
Yes.
But
He
Sakuya
can tell
knows
he
that,
doesn't have that edge.
yeah, and pairing with Rashimaru's first kill being his mother, which is insane, and then now putting his brother in the situation where, like, you're gonna have to kill this guy because I'm gonna go after his sister who he loves so much, and he has to kill you in order to survive. There's no other way for this outcome to happen. I thought it was so powerful. I love this part where it just comes back to his bloody sword, and I'm like, oh, like, it felt epic and it felt big, and I was like, oh man. And then you see Ichiban Boshi there, just like stunned, and I'm like, great, dope, love it. I wish the other episodes after this could hit as big as this one, because the thing was, yeah, like, this was the moment for me where I'm like, oh man, I felt that one. So Ichiban Boshi taking down somebody where he had no other choice, against his will, was a fantastic moment for me. Apparently the Shinsengumi is gonna be disbanded. Too much fuck ups, bro. We got all this, we got the thing on fire, we got all this, people are dying. It's over.
The person
Shinsengumi,
they were
no
supposed to
more.
capture is dead. The place they were supposed to raid is burning down, and all evidence is getting burned down with it.
Mm-hmm.
Bad.
And that leads us to episode 7, Prevent the Dissolution of the Shinsengumi. What happens in episode 7?
Toto believes the Shinsengumi will be disbanded. However, Katamori demands that they regain their honor in the 3 preceding days. Ichiban Boshi is locked up for insubordination, and we learn of Miyabe Teizo, a anti-shogunate royalist. Toto prepares to send out the Shinsengumi, but is interrupted by news that Ichiban Boshi has escaped. With no time to search, the Shinsengumi all move to collect info on Teizo by their own means. Kogoro reveals to Akita that Teizo has corrupted his fellow countrymen and attempted to recruit him as well. Ichiban Boshi meets with Hikojiro's sister, whom tells of a plot to burn down the capital. At the same time, Sakuya discovers it by interrogation. Toto taking Ichiban Boshi off of his hiatus as he can hear his sincerity loud and clear.
This was okay. We got some interesting stuff from Sakuya and Ichiban Boshi, and I thought it was really funny that it. I just like Sakuya being a little bit more jaded, because he gets very close to, and is on, by the end of these 4 episodes, he is on his, like, 1,000th kill,
which we don't get to see all of those. I'm just saying,
no,
there's a lot of off screening that's going on.
yeah,
That's
that
why
kind of
I feel
sucks.
like homie's just kind of skipping numbers there. who's counting other than him?
Yeah, that's true. But, like, whether it's jaded or, like, I don't completely understand his mind frame, but he said something really funny when Ichiban Boshi and him were, or Ichiban Boshi was behind bars, and they were talking sort of about the situation and about his brother. And Sakuya's like, "You're his big brother. It's your job to kill him." And I was like, I mean, yeah, but, like, out of context, that's a really funny thing to say. Like, you're his big brother. You're the one that's supposed to kill him. And which is wild. And he called him your miserable little brother who lost touch of his humanity. There's a lot of talk about seppuku, which,
Came up a few times.
if you know it, you know it. If you don't, they don't really explain what it is, but, like, it's the biggest,
If you've if you've committed too much disgrace to ever bring yourself honor again, it's disembowelment and beheading at the same
and that's
time.
for samurai, right?
As for samurai that have dishonored themselves.
Which is kind of crazy because they are criminals that got into being samurai, and Ichiban Boshi like saying it like he doesn't care what happens or what it takes eventually. Like, I'll commit seppuku.
Yeah. I think in his case, it's just more like I stake my life on this.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah.
cool with that because it's like,
In
oh,
Toto's case, when he brought it up, it was more in a like, I've brought you and myself so much dishonor that I will forfeit my life
mm-hmm,
as repentance.
mm-hmm. And then when Ichiban Boshi says it as well later on, that's when he figures out like, okay, this guy's for real. Like
Yeah.
this, like I appreciate you. I see what you said there. I see it. We recognize. And
Real
okay,
recognize real.
yeah, because he's like, oh, you're saying the thing. Oh, you're a samurai. That's right, bro. Get back on the team. We get some weird stuff between Taizo. Is that his name? Taizo?
That's Kogoro.
Kogoro. I just call him Silver Hair because there's so many
That's
names here.
Katsuda Kogoro. He's the
Kogoro, crossdresser from the
yeah,
beginning.
he's the cross-dressing geisha.
Tozoro, or yeah, him and Akira. There's something weird there.
It's pretty weird.
It's a little weird.
He's attempting to court her quite heavily handed, I would say.
Yeah.
And I mean, she doesn't really. The thing is that she never really actively like tells him he's out of line or anything like that. And we saw how she reacted to Ichiban Boshi when he just looked at her, kind of like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're really pretty," and she was like, "You ever look at me again, and I'll slit your throat."
Yeah.
But with this guy, he's like, "Hey, give me a kiss on the cheek," and she's like, "All right."
What are you talking? Yeah. It's like, is that really what they do in the West? Oh shit. Okay. I mean, yeah, we're not.
I mean, if if that's what they're doing in the West,
Yeah, that's what
we're supposed to be fighting for that, right?
that's what the cool kids are doing. We
But so
get
like, yeah, it's a little, it feels unprompted, but
sure.
if she's having it, then you go, girl.
We get the introduction of I think we've had it earlier already, but the Gyeon festival that is going to be happening. And whenever you hear festival, some shit's about to happen there. That's the big crux of it, that they hear that at the Gyeon festival, there's going to be a huge fire. The I don't really know what the plan is, but from what some people say the plan is, I don't know if it's a really good plan. Burning down the capital and escorting the emperor out to prove they are the true loyalist forces. So basically, this whole plan and these sort of moving parts are like basically the city's going to burn down, but we're going to prevail because of this. I'm like, okay. And the interesting thing as well, which they said here, is history is written by the winners. And I was like, damn, he kind of true, because even they were like, what the fuck kind of plan is that? Like, what is that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, we're gonna survive, so we're gonna be the ones that are writing the history books. I'm like, oh fuck, true, bro, you got us.
It is a really interesting line that I find.
It's funny because a lot
even
of the
more interesting in the context of what's going on in the show. Because like, yeah, that's exactly, again, I look up and find out that the Ikedeya incident was like an actual event that the Shinsengumi was able to stop. And I'm just like, yeah, like what would the history look like, if things were opposite? What 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 would history look like if things were opposite? Indeed. Yeah.
Ichiban Boshi comes back, and Toto notes that he's a lot like Kondo, the one that his blade embodies. So Ichiban Boshi is imbued by Kondo, or the spirit of Kondo, I suppose. I don't know if that's like a direct thing that's happening, but he is very alike.
Coincidence.
Could be just
exudes it.
Maybe they haven't really explained it. But that leads into the gang getting back together. Episode 8, Blitz, the Ikadaya incident. What happens in episode 8?
Toto reveals the plan to the Shinsengumi before we see Kogoro interacting with Taizo and the anti-shogunates. Using the festival as a stage, Tsukito plans to harvest a massive amount of souls. Bo, Suzuran, and Sakuya discover where the destruction will take place, and they begin to make moves to stop the chaos, but they don't make it in time. Kogoro declares his fondness for Akida before Taizo gets off-screened by Gyataro. And and then we see Todo come to the rescue of Ichiban Boshi before he passes off the torch as Tsukito disappears. Ichiban Boshi leads the rest of the Shinsengumi uh, into recovery efforts for the town, for the capital.
So we got a plan here.
This felt like an episode 12. I'm just saying. Like
This felt like an episode 12?
This felt like very much of like a more like season finale-esque episode. Like, I don't know, like unless I'm just saying they could up the stakes again and make things like more spectacular than it already got, but I'm just saying that like this episode 4 feels like it might be where the high point of the show is, but I
mean, the high point of the show is some sort of duel at the end for the brothers, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just
yeah, I see what you mean. Them burning down the entire city, like the plans failed. We get the masked demons lending Miyabi crew weapons if they burn their city. So they're like these other crews that are working together for this one thing, and they're supposed to get something out of it for each other. Them sort of like deciphering the code on where it's located, where they need to go. So this is where the part where I said it felt kind of like a mystery, but it wasn't like fully a mystery, where they're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening before this big something's about to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be fire. And I see where it's like the town ultimately ending up just going fuck all. We got Todo just going down, and then Ichiban Boshi. I think it would have felt more of like a finale if Todo didn't go down, because I see what you mean, where burning down the whole city, that's a big season ender, big plot thing. But Todo going down and being like, Ichiban Boshi, it's all up to you. I think that's where we're going to get the story of Ichiban Boshi stepping up and being the leader that everyone sees in him. I don't see it, but whatever.
I don't see that. That's one thing we haven't really talked about. Everybody that like immediately jumped to his defense at multiple times, just like, why isn't Ichiban Boshi here? Things would be so much more exciting. And it's like, yeah, but I bet it'd be a lot fucking less productive.
Yeah. Like, bro, what makes him so cool? Like, what does he do? I mean, he brings people together. They've said that multiple times, but like, what does he do?
What has he done?
What has he done?
What has he done? What has like that's where I feel like in a show where you have the ensemble idea, a show like Black Clover is able to just pull it off a lot better for my taste, because you get all of the time for the main character who the show wants you to like and wants everybody to come to like. You have the time to flesh out individual like arcs and progression with like individual characters within the group, and then you get to see like that whole like that dynamic come together around them over time. Whereas I just feel like it wants us to feel like everybody's on board with Ichiban Boshi being the commander, but it's just like up to this point, other than his words, his actions, I feel like have not really shown him to be a competent commander.
Is it because nobody else wants to be commander? Because like everybody else seems to be sort of on the same as like everybody is at this level, and it's because they're choosing Ichiban Boshi that it puts him as the leader, because everybody's just kind of like, I'll do whatever somebody tells me. That's pretty much how everybody talks. That's how everybody's like. Even what's his name? Sakuya is just like, I'll follow orders. Where I'm not the one going to give them, but I'll follow orders, and that's my job now. And it's like, is it because nobody wants to be the leader that Ichiban Boshi is the leader? And it's just like, that's the guy. And then Ichiban Boshi is like, okay, yeah, I'm the guy. And that's kind of what it is. I think that's kind of what it is, because it's like they all seem to be at the same level of like, yeah, I'll do the thing. I'll do the thing. I'll be a samurai. I'll be a part of this. Whatever. Tell me what to do.
Yes, and even like Ichiban Boshi in episode 2, with the whole Hikojiro interaction and him being like, "Oh, I don't want to fight my friend," and then him being like, "Oh my god, I killed somebody. I thought we were going to become friends." It's like, but I thought you just said you were friends. I don't. What? What,
Yeah.
bro? Sorry.
They did
Anyways,
get some fights here between the brothers Ichimonboshi and Rashimaru, which looked okay. It was okay. It looked fine.
it was the
Again,
most animated thing that this show has
it
thrown at us. Period.
they did put some of their money into this fight, and I was like, okay, I
We
appreciate it.
actually got to see like
I saw something fall over.
attacks in movement
Yeah,
and the environment being affected at it in the same shot
yeah.
without it having a cut.
I was like, oh shit, look at that.
I was like, we're almost there. So if all the budgets in these last 4 episodes that we're watching next week, then it'll bring the rating up a little bit on this for the animation department. But I'm just saying that rating is not looking great right now.
Imagine it's just a whole different anime. Like it just looks so much better. Like it just looks great. That'd be crazy to put it all in the last four. They do show some really weird stuff. And it's kind of jarring sometimes because we see sometimes like people get stabbed, or like I think it was when they were like torturing somebody. I forgot where it was, but I saw blood splatter at some points, and it's like super jarring because you don't expect, like, everybody that's died has died in like one hit or whatever, and then like some stuff is like, it's like, oh man, like that's blood, like that's a lot of blood. I'm like, what the hell? It's just kind of jarring. I'm fine with it,
Yeah.
but something that they showed in this episode that I was like, what the fuck, is that out of nowhere, whenever everything's on fire, they just show people on the ground and they're not moving and they're just on fire.
Yeah.
And then something just falls over them. I'm like, it's kind of a lot.
Like when the fire first started, when the disaster began, it looked like the fire was just conveniently missing everybody.
Yeah.
And it looked the fire starts, and then Rashamaru is like holding his thing over his head, and a bunch of souls start accumulating, and I'm like, are that many people dying right now? Like, I haven't seen any of that. And then it showed a couple bodies lying on the ground, and I was like, oh, okay, people are dying. Gotcha.
Yeah, because it was a comically large amount of souls
Yeah.
for how convenient the fire was going. I was like, okay, everything's just getting burning down. That's cool. And then it's like souls. I'm like, God damn, bro. Everybody's dying.
Cleared the freaking capital. He's clearing it out.
He went wall to wall tank. I just pulled everybody. So that leads us off. We got to start over from scratch. We got everybody, Ichiban Boshi leading the way, saying like, if we got it in us, we can rebuild. It's fine. We just got to do our mission and figure it out. As far as where we've gone and going into the final 4 episodes, how do you think, and what do you think is going to be the crux of the story ending? How not what you want, but how do you think they're going to end it? Is it going to be, like I said, a sort of showdown between the brothers? Is it going to be, because Ichiban Boshi has offered his brother to join him?
I think it's going to try to do something very much like that we got out of a Trigun Stampede with the two of them, but it's just not going to feel as like, it's not going to feel very satisfactory. I feel like it's going to end with both of them, like, maybe dealing like a critical blow to each other, or somehow locking each other out of being able to, like, access their power source, something, and they're going to end up like, walking away, licking their wounds, set up for a season 2 finale. Maybe it'll be the thing where like maybe we'll get I forgot which Star Wars movie it happens in, but when Kylo Ren turns on the Emperor at the last second, and then
that's what I was gonna say, or ask, is there a timeline where his brother turns to the good side? Rashimaru just says like, yeah, you're right, like gets to him.
I think even though that Ichiban Boshi like kind of put that offer on the table, I just feel like the way the show presented that the second he was kind of Like it was the whole idea that Tsukito, he endures and he doesn't hurt others, and that's what makes him the strongest. And the second he was given a true out to not have to endure, he took it. And I think that's the show trying to paint him as like just like somebody who finally like snapped,
Broke,
somebody
yeah.
who kind of was at their wits end and has now fallen off of the deep end, so to speak. I think that in a conjunction with him like killing his own mother at the first opportunity given, and the things that we've seen him commit up to this point, that he's unless we see something very compelling out of his backstory otherwise, I don't really think he's a redeemable
I
character.
mean, okay. Two things. One, I did like when Ichiban Boshi was like, bro, just join the crew. Hey, you know what? We're all criminals.
But
We
it's like
all did some shit. And it was like, oh, damn, that's true. They are criminals.
but
He's
like
like,
again,
just come on.
we're seeing more and more come out from their backstories where they're being painted with that gray morality. But I don't think the show's painting Rashimaru with gray morality. I
Bro,
think
Sakuya killed 1,000 people.
1,000. Being like, I feel as though with Sakuya, as he was a hitman, he was kind of just like somebody that was living in a different world. And he is also the person that's painted with the darkest shade of gray
Sure.
as somebody who, again, like Tsukito even comes out and says, like, I thought you'd be somebody to understand my situation considering you killed your dad. So he's trying to draw a connection there with like, you've done bad things and you're doomed to be bad. But I don't think that Sakuya believes that he is bad and that he's doomed to do bad things. I think he just sees himself as, again, like more as a weapon than as a person. But we've seen touches of his humanity come out through his interactions of Ichiban Boshi, even if they're cold and it's like, he's telling him things that he might not want to hear. I think it's Sakuya's way of looking out for Ichiban Boshi. It's like, if this is what you're trying to do, bro, you got to be about it. Like, you got to be ready to like be about it. Otherwise,
You're
you're just going to
his
get cut
brother.
down. You're just going to get cut down.
You are supposed to kill him.
You're
You're his
supposed to kill him.
brother.
You're his older
Um,
brother.
Another thing that I don't know if it'll be super satisfying, but a way that they could possibly redeem him and it just be the gun that's on the table the entire time is that we've seen people attack the group with these purple swords. It hasn't made it super clear that they're doing it on their own volition or if they're being sort of like maybe possessed by something or something like that. Maybe that big sword that his brother has with all the purpleness that it has some sort of power over him and finally the chains break and he's like, what have I been doing this whole time? Initially he does kill his mother. Maybe they, you know, did they show him actually doing it? Because like maybe that could have been, maybe that's why they're
They
keeping it
show
from
like
us.
the guy drops the sword and it shows his like eye kind of go from like concerned to like determined. And we're given the prompt to suggest that he kills his mom.
Yeah, I'm holding out to see what actually the swords do because I think that's my big plot
And
hole
that too, with the
there.
whole idea that Sogen has already come out and said that like these swords are not made with anything in special, and
Then why do they glow purple?
these guys are not anything special themselves. They're just dudes, and these are just swords.
I think
So
there's something there.
that's something, kind of mysterious. But again, it wants to have that, and then it wants to do this whole historical nonfiction side of things. And I'm just like, it feels like there's too much in the bag in the storytelling department, and there's not enough time to get these concepts wholly fleshed out for the 12 episode run.
Yeah, because in order to make it as historical as they are, like with all these different people that are from the past, all these different like groups and domains and stuff, they have to include so much. I think if they just changed the names, but also included less, they could have had like a coherent story, one that didn't go so deep or so fast or trying to put so many people on screen.
Mm-hmm.
They probably could have just done away with the history stuff and used whoever, but
That,
then made it smaller and more concise about either their brotherhood or about these group of criminals
yeah,
or about this mass demons thing.
because again, the second we get a flashback and it's showing us a freaking Dark Souls boss that killed the entire other rest of the Shinsengumi, like that's what I think, that's the vibe. That's what the vibe is going to be for the show. But then it wants to
We
try,
never see it again.
and then we reel it back in, and we're getting these historically accurate ways that, oh, this scientist is able to figure out if the swords are of anything special in nature, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know.
I'm holding out hope. I'm curious to see how it ends.
I'm
Definitely.
curious to see how it ends at this point, if anything.
Shine on the Bakumatsu Bad Boys. We're going to be watching episode 9 through 12 next week. We're going to be rating it on our scale here. We rate the animes that we watch in each season, and we have quite a bit here. And also next week, we're going to be picking a brand new anime. So if you'd like to submit an anime for us to watch in the future, $5 super chat on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch is how you would do that. And you just put a name, give us a name of an anime. If it's not bad, or if it's not like a hentai or something, then
Oh,
you
that
can
type
go
of ad.
ahead.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, you can put in bad anime. Who cares? I mean, I don't know. We haven't seen most of these, so I don't know if any of these are going to be bad or good. But we'll be picking them out. $5 super chat on YouTube.
You want to
and
see us talk about it?
yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I mean, we talk about it. We watch it during the week. Matt, when you're not being a Bakumatsu bad boy, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on my YouTube at Matt_Galley. Follow me on my socials on Twitter and Instagram. I'm never calling it X. Just add an ITS at the front, make it's Matt_Galley.
When's that
Jewel,
Matt gonna stream
the Matt
again?
is gonna stream on Monday. I'm gonna have a
You
stream on Monday.
heard it here first. He's gonna be playing
Something. Haven't
shout out to
decided.
something.
It might be City Skylines 2 if
Ooh.
that is optimized to the point where I can stream it and play it now, because I've been seeing a lot of good updates come out of that game and I want to revisit it. Jules, when we're not here talking about all the beautiful, lovely anime that the people suggest us, where can the people find you?
You find me on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman. If you're watching this on Twitch or somewhere else, I don't stream on Twitch anymore. I don't stream my game stuff on Twitch. So go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman. Probably this Friday, I'll be playing more Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero has been pretty fun to stream because we're going through the story and it's pretty dope. You can find this podcast, the lives on my YouTube channel as well. You can watch this podcast on Spotify. If you have Spotify, just look up the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. The podcast will be there too. We're also trying something new where we put the full episodes, like my lives will still be here on my channel, the live version of this, but then the full episodes we're going to put on a new YouTube channel. So it's at Anime Hour Pod. Let me see if I can tag it in the comments here. At Anime Hour Pod. It's probably not going to show up. At Anime Hour Pod, that's where you can see the released video that's in the video section. Gonna see if the algorithm works, see if it brings a new audience. Sort of, I tagged both of our channels in the comments, so that's something cool. They can go from the anime channel and then go to here. But if you just watch it live, that's fine too. But just two different channels, and Spotify and wherever you get your podcast to watch the show. Thank you so much for watching. Last 4 episodes of Shine On. We're going to be voting on it. Check the Discord.
Shine on.
Shine on to the next anime next week. And we're going to pick that next week as well and rate this anime. So, yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.